Sounds good to me, we need more. We can do it all. Where do we leave off, Ian?
Somewhere on page 7, I think.
I was hoping you were saying it's going to be somewhere around page 12.
Let's see, it's page 7, which is section E. Well, it's actually into page 8.
Then we got rid of a page too.
You know what, I think we stopped at tower-based communications, which is on current number 7, page 7B. Just for the record, well, we ready to start?
Not quite, we haven't called it yet. I will in a minute.
Okay. Just for informational purposes, old 20, we talked about moving somewhere else, so I took it out and put it somewhere else. But it's not necessarily, we all agreed it should go, but we knew it wasn't going to be here anymore. But it's not totally gone, it's somewhere else for discussion.
Okay, I see the time is 6:01 PM on May 31st, 2017. Call the meeting of the Plain Township Zoning Commission to order. This being a resumption of deliberation of the matter of amendment number 569-17. I see we have an agenda, but it looks like this is the only item on the agenda for tonight. Does anyone have any additions, corrections, changes, or deletions to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Let's do a quick look at the minutes from the last meeting, as I see our secretary prepared and submitted those from the May 10th meeting, I believe.
Well, I'm going to move their approval as submitted, and these would have been impossible in minutes to capture any more effectively than this.
Do I have a second for approval of the minutes of the May 10th meeting?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is there an indication of the roll call anywhere here? That's all the questions.
First paragraph.
Am I
Last
the right
line,
one?
oh no, that's the agenda, this is the minutes.
Oh, never mind.
Okay,
I
so
withdraw
that's
my
the first
question.
paragraph.
I withdraw my question. I was looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, I think there's a nice job, John. Okay, those in approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous. Okay, let's go now then to the resumption of the deliberation of the pending matter of amendment. If we recall last session, there was a motion to approve the amendment. It was seconded, and we were in the midst of deliberation, and we had, I would observe, gone through line by line a good portion of the proposed text amendment, and we kind of decided that due to the hour and the amount of work remaining, that we would resume that deliberation today, which is what I'm proposing we do. Where were we with that?
I'm going to move, Mr. Chairman, that we untable for discussion the motion to approve the wireless communications facilities text amendment number 569-17.
Second.
Discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're on table.
I would like to make a note that there's been slight change in the section numbering, which I'm not sure we discussed, but I would ask that we adopt. It seems to make sense.
You're referring now to the most recent edited version or version that you sent out
Right. I think,
via Tom within the last couple of days?
yeah, what I'm basically saying is Tom changed the section numbers, I think, a little bit to make them, it makes sense, and I would just say we didn't go ahead and adopt that change, even though we didn't specifically talk about it last meeting, just to get us started.
Sure.
And I think you'll find that he did a good job of replacing towers with WCFs and all the other, a lot of the other stuff we talked about, at least as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And I would ask the board to, since we're working off of my reconstruction of our efforts, that you take a look and let me know if there's anything that seems to be missing or is not properly stated. Through the first, I would say, 7 pages of the current draft.
Yeah, Ian, I would just clean up on page 5, paragraph 16, just needs shifted over. I'm not sure how it did.
Yeah, I got that done here.
Oh, great.
Gentlemen, I brought the computer and I'm hopefully gonna make the changes as we go.
Yeah, I didn't worry about
Yeah,
that
I
so
wasn't
much,
sure.
because
Yeah.
that's the way it happened when I pasted it in
All right.
from somewhere else.
And then I'm not sure what happened on page 6 at the bottom. The last, to the extent that,
Okay, now that was number, I thought that was under 19.
Yeah,
Ian
that's-
just said that's gonna be 20. And we need to finish that, and I was having a hard time deciphering. But what I got was, in the event of a conflict between the provisions found elsewhere in this resolution, it's kind of messed up, conflict and ambiguity, the provision of this article shall apply.
Or prevail.
Shall control.
Yeah, so-
If you look at
Shall
20,
control.
I think we covered it all except for maybe right at the end of the first line, found that maybe we could add elsewhere. I think that is a better, I interpreted my own handwriting a little better than Tom did, maybe. But,
Provision found elsewhere in the resolution?
oh, so it should be elsewhere. No, it shouldn't, no, I take that back, just the way it is.
Okay, so you're suggesting that the highlighted phrase, to the extent that, ... can be eliminated now because we've addressed it as controlling provision item 12?
Yeah, it's probably my mistake leaving that in there when I moved it down.
And we're on page 7 now.
Okay, so I can delete that?
Yeah,
Delete the yellow highlight.
Okay.
where was it picked up, I'm sorry?
Page
I think your
7.
page number is a little different from ours, but if you look on between subparagraphs 19 and 20.
Okay. So we're taking that out.
Yeah, because it's really restated in new 20.
Okay, got it.
We decided to put that at the end of the, whatever that is,
Okay.
that section, and move that other thing elsewhere. That's what's showing is crossed out, has not been deleted, it's just been moved.
Gotcha.
Just so I understand, is there a significance to the use of the green text at number 16 and the
17.
red text? Tell me,
I was having a horrible time. The computer added in a whole the notes section, and it
Okay.
changed colors.
okay,
And it got down to the last minute. I did the best I could to straighten it out, and then just hit print.
Yeah, that's,
see, I didn't notice that there would be
playing
any
with it.
significant difference, and that's why I was asking, so.
Yeah.
what happened with the green stuff, when I moved the stuff in green from old page 16 and 17, which we moved into this section, it turned colors on me, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah,
Okay, so it was just a matter of the way the markup showed up, and
Yeah.
just markups from the, okay, just quick.
I have a question on number 9 on page 8.
Well,
Um,
hold on, what about, I'm gonna go, before we go, we're going to, on page 5,
Okay.
there's a yellow thing, which I'm not sure,
Okay,
section 13F,
13F.
I think, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that moved, yeah, I had a question.
I think that was added in.
That's old 16 moved up and turned into F.
Yeah. And
I
that's why
had a hard time reading it, so I wanted everybody to look at it, and make sure that's,
I think I recall discussing that. Did we not talk about that the application or the permit application that the applicant would be requested to fill out would include some sort of space where they were to indicate what their belief of the cost of removal was, and then we would evaluate that if it was going to be out of line.
I think we left that up to the zoning, board zoning appeals. Is my recollection, so we didn't put anything in there, that would be something that zoning appeals would handle. That's my recollection of the conversation,
They normally would.
and I don't have any notes to that extent from that meeting.
Is there going to be a new would you envision a new application form that would be created for these kinds of WCF applicants?
Yeah, so the main reason, yes.
Okay, so would it be difficult to just have them indicate what they believe that the cost of removal in the case of amendment would be, and then if there's an issue, it could be at least addressed at the time the application is heard? I mean, I don't know if we have to make that part of the,
We don't,
but it would be smart, I think, to put the burden on the applicant to indicate.
right, and there's probably gonna be information out there from other removals. And it's totally unrealistic, your zoning director will probably sense that.
Above that highlighted, we had, and I wasn't sure, I've got it crossed out, the township must approve all replacements of portions of the tower-based WCF previously removed. Was there any mention of that you recall? Removing it or changing it? Any used portions?
Let me see here. Removed by the township. Oh, no, I didn't, I took the wrong thing out. No, that's my bad. That should be in there,
That should be?
that should stay. I was trying to, there were sections of the paragraph above that that came out, and I think I got mixed up when I was doing this. Thanks for catching that.
I might have put that in. And I wasn't sure of it, and so I think I put the line through just to bring it up tonight. I'll take the line out. And let me get that correct. We're going to remove the F about the bond.
No, let's see, we're leaving F in,
Okay. But we're putting it in the application as well.
yes. But we're going to expand upon it a little bit in the application to include an anticipated amount. We having fun yet?
You betcha.
This might be, let me ask, the line that
That's
we
what we
just
just talked
talked about,
That was,
I'm still focused on that, I have a
Okay.
question about that. The township must approve all replacements of portions of a tower-based WCF previously removed. Are we talking about in the instance of abandonment?
No.
Or cessation? Because I thought there's specific revised code section that says we aren't allowed to regulate replacement for use, but we're allowed to, if it doesn't affect, if it doesn't involve the height of the tower.
That's right.
is that why you Xed it out?
That's why I had a line.
Okay. Well,
So I'm thinking what we're doing by lining that out, even though it would be a nicety to have it in there, that sounds to me to be directly in conflict with the one particular code section that we're trying to dance around.
At this time, what I do is they will come in with an application to place antennas on a tower. And I give them a letter stating that we don't have control of it. They take that to the county and get their permits from the county.
okay. So it's
And
out.
that's because it's specifically prohibited by the code for us to regulate the height.
Now, wait a minute, maybe
I
that's
mean,
it.
anything that isn't an increase in the height.
Over 10 feet.
Right.
Did we talk about a clause that says if anything's in conflict, is determined to be in conflict with the existing code? Did we have a section?
Didn't we just put that in?
Yeah, I thought that's what I was referring
All right.
Oh, you meant the revised code, the
Number 20.
the code of federal.
No, yeah, if
Yeah.
we're sort of like, hey, if we screw up and something gets declared, inconstitutional, everything else
We
is...
don't want to invalidate the whole provision.
Right.
We want it to assume that it will.
Did we talk about one with that before? Because I did not put that in here anywhere.
We did, but I don't know that, I don't recall that
Okay.
we proposed specific language.
I don't think we put it in.
Maybe that's what was triggering me.
We should.
Hey, Tom, I have a question. When I was looking through some of the stuff, does this have to correspond with anything that the local public utility has in place? Because a lot of these, it says cellular telecommunication projects are usually within the definition of the public utility. So ORC 5819-211, it says it provides a narrow degree of zoning authority for telecommunication towers that fit specific definitions of the code. So I'm just curious, what we're putting together here. Is there communication between us and the local utility? What is our authority exactly?
We'll start off, if we have nothing, we give up any authority at all.
Okay.
And the popular opinion that I've received from several attorneys is that we need to put what we feel we should have in the code. And the cell companies come in and will negotiate a lot. They'll come in and they'll want a 150-foot tower, but they will settle for 60 foot or less. But basically what they say is to add to that code what you feel you need.
Okay.
We're trying to push the envelope as far as we can.
Yeah, no, I get it. So if we don't have anything,
We're dead in the water.
you're
They
basically...
do what they want.
Yeah.
And it may be that, and this is what I was getting to, there may be sections of this that are declared beyond our authority in a subsequent court case. And that's why I was saying, maybe we need a provision that says, look, if any single provision is or any language is determined to be beyond their authority. That doesn't negate the rest of the, I mean, that's the section we were just talking about, because we anticipate there may be some fights. I mean, we've asked for the township attorney for an opinion as to the, how this is supposed to work, and at least that was, we were gonna ask for more guidance, I think, at some point. But we all realize that we're pushing the envelope here, and we're trying not to go too far, but we're trying to cover as much as we're gonna be allowed to, and it's a somewhat open question.
Does anybody know if it's accurate to say that there is no township in the state that has a rule or a section for this for wireless communications? Is there any other township that?
I couldn't say, there is none. I have been unable to find it.
Yeah.
And I went to the Township Association, which is the statewide group that handles lobbying and that type of thing for all the townships in the state. Asked them if they knew of any, and they had no idea. And so right now, we're waiting for an opinion. We got an opinion from the Attorney General. We're waiting for an opinion, I guess, from the prosecuting attorney for the local.
Prosecutor's office.
Okay,
For municipalities or for townships?
For townships.
Okay, how, that's interesting. That's.
I sent you, I emailed everybody the copy of that Attorney General's opinion. And if you don't have it, I will.
No, I have it. Everyone wants to see it.
Right.
That just came out not too long ago. In fact, as soon as I got it, I emailed it out.
But in reference to your inquiry, we're either going to be the fool guinea pigs or the model township.
Here you go.
And maybe depending on what we come up with, we'll decide which category we fall
Yeah,
in.
I didn't mean to change the direction of everything.
No,
I just thought
no.
it was- Yeah.
No, that's an appropriate question. That's kind of, I think, what we were addressing when we kind of took a straw poll among us whether we even wanted to venture into this at the last meeting. So, all right. So, that being said, are we in agreement to leave that line out then at page 5, number 13E?
Yeah.
I hate to go back again, but I'm looking at the definitions, number 7, wireless telecommunication facility. Is that a WCF? A wireless telecommunication facility, or is that a wireless communication facility? Or are those two technically, are we using those terms interchangeably? Definition number 7.
Wireless telecommunication facility, also known. That's a WCF.
Okay, because we talk about it in the very first general provisions, page 3, we call it a wireless communication facility there. And I'm thinking in the interest of consistency, we ought to call it, we ought to probably get rid of tele in front of.
I agree. Hold on. What number is that?
The definition,
Number 7.
number
Page
7,
Page
page
2, number
2.
7.
We talked about taking telecommunications out, and calling it wireless communication towers, but then there was some discussion about putting facilities back in, or saying also known as a WCF. So,
proposal would be to just remove the TELE off of
Okay,
that, call it, be consistent, call it wireless communications facility.
okay.
Because we refer to it as WCF, and then we later refer to a wireless telecommunications antenna as a WTA, and so that makes sense.
Well, but for practical purposes, at number 7, then we might want to put, or quote, WCF, which is how we refer to it all the way through.
That's done on page.
I know, but it'll make it clear. It doesn't hurt us to put it in there. And let everyone know that's exactly what we're talking about.
You want that in parentheses?
That's fine.
And do we want to do the same thing, WTA, under the number 8 for wireless telecommunications antenna?
For consistency, yes.
And will we also put WCA at the end of that?
I don't think should we call it a WCA anymore?
We had,
Antennas are WTA, I thought.
Yeah, the first use of the word WTA I see at 17A.
yeah,
At page 6, which is says a WTA owner, a WTA owner.
I wasn't sure if that was my mistake. Did you?
Well, I think we
WCA?
had communications facilities and we had telecommunications antennas as 2 different
Yeah,
Right.
terms.
okay, so that's gonna stay WTA.
I have a big red mark with a question mark here on that part. I'm not sure what we ended up doing. When I was going back over it again, I couldn't remember what we did, so thank you for catching that.
So there was also a WTA and a letter B below that. You wanted to keep that there.
And
17?
17B,
Right.
permittee shall provide the WTA owner.
how many things?
Is that what we want, WTA or WCF?
Yeah, I think it's I think that the 2 WTAs need to be
Okay.
WCFs.
Oh.
Because that's what this.
Yeah, WTA is a subset of a WCF, isn't it?
Right,
WCF.
plus,
Yeah, okay.
So it's WCF?
yeah. And it's all of these subsections of section A. It's all about WCF.
This is page 6, 17A and B. You're correct.
Okay. Steve, I don't think everyone has exactly the same page numbers.
All right.
They should be the same. I moved.
I know, but different people printed them off different
Oh.
places and they came out different ways.
Yeah.
While we're on 17B, I underneath it, first paragraph underneath that, did we intend to have a commercial automobile liability insurance coverage?
Yeah, just take out the word automobile.
Yeah.
Because ahead of it, we have a commercial general liability.
Maybe we just leave the commercial general liability insurance and that's it.
That would take our commercial automobile liability.
Yep, the whole thing.
Insurance.
Yes?
Commercial insurance. So if you cut commercial general liability insurance covering
Correct.
Plain Township against any and all claims.
$1 million per occurrence, $2 million aggregate.
Oh, you know what, I'll have to, subsection 3 there, under the same section, the word provide should be at the beginning. And evidence should be lowercase e, based on my original, that's
Provided.
provide evidence,
Provide small e evidence.
satisfactory to, blah, blah, blah. And I'm assuming, I called it subsection 17, I'm assuming
Compliance with
That fits.
subsections.
Yeah, it is a subsection. It could be even refers to it as a subsection or division, but let's not go there.
It says this, so,
Mhm.
okay. So where did we leave off?
At the end of A, we're at section 20 on my page 7, and right above section B, tower-based wireless communication
We're going to
facility.
begin with B,
Okay.
which is tower-based wireless communications facilities outside the right of way.
Do we have any more comments or discussion from the portions we did last week? Or are we ready to start at
No.
at B, tower-based wireless communications outside right of way?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, so let's look at it.
Number 6, design and construction. My question is why that language is different from what we have in page, let's see, I guess it's going to be page 10 or 11.
So you jumped to 6, I'm sorry, I didn't catch up with you, I'm still looking at 1
1
through
through 5,
5.
look through 1 through 5 and then,
Okay.
One is consistent with what our code already says. You know, they are permitted conditionally only in RR.
number 2, is that good English? No minimum lot, comma. Should the word or be in there instead of a comma?
I don't even know what lease it has in there.
I don't know.
Lease it listed.
If you just take out lease area, then the comma lease area can just come out.
So what are we referring there? Are we referring to the area devoted exclusively to the tower as being a separate minimum area different from the lot requirement? Is that what we're trying to say, that there's no separate area requirement devoted to the tower?
Generally, I would say yes, because it talks about the tower has to have 110% of the tower height away from a property line. So if it falls within the property it's on, not
Minimum lot lease area size required for tower. By the minimum requirements of the zoning district. What is our zoning district? Well, that's right.
No, our zoning district would be like B1, R2.
Got it.
There's only one in which it's currently permitted, that's RR. So,
I think it's no minimum lot size is required, blah, 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 blah.
Does this change something that's already established? Or is this just another
I think it's an introduction.
regurgitation of what we already have for tower-based wireless communications facilities? Because this, again, is just towers, right? This isn't.
Right, just towers.
And so is this a restatement of what's already in our resolution?
Well, this is,
We already have, but
well, this is specifically about tower-based wireless communication facilities outside the public right of way.
Yeah.
And only in RR.
Right.
So this is something that we're regulating already.
Yes.
we are. Yeah, one
Okay.
point on, it's a huge.
So I guess my question is, are we changing anything from the current regulations by any of the wording that we're doing or any of the text we have here in section B?
I think it's just sort of saying, I don't think so, I mean, you could probably do without the whole thing, it's just maybe it's there for informational purposes.
No, I'd be fine if we brought it all in so that we have a telecommunications thing under the same section, but
It basically is the same.
okay.
There are some,
So you're the draftsman, you dropped this same language in from whatever we had before put in here, or I mean, is this?
there are some changes.
Okay.
The surrounding environments, number 7 is different.
So report.
The,
My problem too is, I don't know that we've addressed the initial problem, is that even good English? It doesn't make any sense to me the way it's, no minimum lot, comma, lease area size. But that doesn't say anything.
Typically, the antenna or the tower builder leases a subsection of an area within the lot. So I guess I understand the use of the word lease area as distinguished from lot.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
it's either the comma should come out and it should be an or the whole reference to lease area size should come out. Either way, the comma there makes no sense. With it stated that way, it's not what, no minimum lot.
The suggestion is to replace the comma with an or. Anybody have any problem with that? I understand that makes sense enough.
Yes. Let me know when you get to 6.
Tom, can you refresh my recollection? We're in number 5, we're talking about combined uses, and in RR district specifically, because this is what we're talking about, what agricultural uses are allowed in RR? Anything if it's over an acre?
anything if it's over 5 acres.
Over 5 acres, okay. All right, so that's what that's referring to.
Yes.
Okay.
Regarding 6A, why is that different from the design and construction requirement that I find in section C4, which is on page 10 of my draft, where it says design and construction?
For WCFs? Are we doing towers different than WCFs?
That's what I'm
This is
asking.
towers.
It says where applicable, feasible, appropriate, the tower antenna shall be constructed to blend in with the surrounding area. And then under the other one, it says, page 10, C4, design and construction, to minimize the visual impact of a WCF. Any proposed new WCF or array of antennas shall be monitored structure. I mean, it's a little more specific and talks about using current stealth technology, and we don't mention stealth technology in A. I'm just wondering if there's any reason why that language is so different from one to the other. Or if we just can't adopt maybe the C4 language. I mean, I like the C4 language better than the B6 language.
Unless we're not going to be as strict about use of stealth technology when it's not in the right of way and it's on a tower. And I'm thinking that the modifications we're making now are somewhat because they're shrinking, they're getting closer to traffic in residential areas, and we want to keep the stealth technology down in the area of visibility.
Yeah,
When they're up on a tower, is that an issue, as big of an issue?
that's what I'm asking. There's two different definitions. And do we need two different definitions? And if we do, that's fine. It's just a question.
I don't think calling for stealth technology on a large tower is out of the question. Instead of being a big pink mountain up there looking down at everybody, if you painted a color that blends in, whatever kind of stealth it is.
Well, that's what you say, it blends in with the surrounding area. So maybe you've already,
Covered it?
I'm just asking.
Were you, on number 6, you're asking why the difference between
6A and
Six.
4,
and
well,
4 on page
B6A
one?
and C4A on page, I'm on page 10.
You're talking about design and construction,
Yep.
why do we have two different design and
Yes.
construction
That's my
standards? Because one's in the public right of way where it's surely visible to everybody, and the other is outside the public right of way where it may be quite some distance from the public right of way. That's my guess.
Okay,
Well, and this might be out of line, but you have a tall tower that could, conceivably even be an issue for airplanes, helicopters, or whatever. I don't know how much you want to camouflage.
Well, you gotta have a light.
They got that lighting.
Okay, so when we say stealth, we're meaning something different at street level than we are on top of a tower.
Yeah.
So maybe we do want to have a slightly different design.
I think the federal government controls the light, or the FAA controls the light at the top of the tower.
Okay.
So there's already laws controlling that.
Okay. Well, what's your recommendation, Tom? Do you want them to be as aesthetically pleasing? Would that be your?
From ground level, I would think, yeah. If
To-
you live near a farm and they decide to put a tower up, you don't want something that's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. People come over your house and go, oh, you got a tower back there.
We could run a tower up between some of the trees on that lot.
Nobody's know it.
It's like Amazon and jungle back there. We don't need, I'm afraid to go back there.
new species being discovered every week. Well, I'm dissatisfied with Tom's answer, unless somebody wants to beat that up, I'm okay with it as is.
Yeah.
So I'm gathering from Tom's answers that he would like us to have the stealth technology in for towers also. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So he wants to move the 19A design criteria also to the B6 design criteria.
Move Minimize the visual impact. WCF, tower-based WCF.
So we're moving D6 to C4?
No, D,
We're copying, if you will, the
Yeah.
same language which was in, I thought it was 19A.
we have, all right, I'm looking at, my original question
Okay.
was about B6A,
Okay.
and then I was comparing that to C4A.
Oh, C4A. All right.
And for the record, Tom, I like the numbers on the margin until we get to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
final version.
Yeah.
Because then even if we're on different pages, we can always get to the same line.
I don't see any incompatibility between B6A and C4A. C4A is in a public right of way, more likely to be seen. And B6A is a flexible standard to blend in with the surrounding area. Well, if the tower is like way at the back of a 100-acre lot that's heavily wooded, I don't think you have the requirement of the most current stealth technology there. But if the tower is going to be in a residential or near a residential area and visible, well then, to blend in with the surrounding area is probably going to require a greater degree of stealth technology. I mean, I think that B6A is fine as is.
Again, I'm okay with it. I just had a question about it
Because it was different,
because it was different, and I wanted to make sure we weren't
missing the difference.
missing the stealth technology
Yeah.
issue.
You know, I'm tending to agree with that, with Terry, that the stealth is something we're looking for at street level, near the rights of way, more so than we would atop a 60-foot tower that's on a farm.
I'm all the way up to paragraph 11.
Good. I was hoping you were up to 37.
We were trying to take out,
I'm sorry.
well,
Forgive me.
I'm just looking at my notes from when I first read the thing, so municipal's still in number 11. And I think if we do, that was one of the terms we were going to do a search for.
I could not figure out how to do a search with a word that is spelled correctly. Like co-location, I tried it and it said, oh, you got it good. Instead of trying to correct it.
But if you hit Control F,
I didn't know that.
it'll say that's your find sequence, and then you can, there's a replace section, so you can put the word municipal in there, go down and then replace everywhere with township.
Can we just remove the word altogether?
Yes, we were just talking last time, that was one of the words we were talking about, doing a search and replace function.
That would be my suggestion.
And I don't know that that's the only time municipal's in there. It's like when we talked about articles and, what's the other change we made? Ordinances. We replace ordinance with article, and hopefully municipal with township throughout,
Or resolution?
or resolution, whatever you want to put in there. This is street standards. And there was some discussion of I put a note here about parking area maximum. I believe we got stuff like that. Parking shall be provided to ensure adequate emergency and service access.
I have a question on, are we on C now?
No, I'm just looking at stuff, I'm trying to figure out my notes. Oh, I know, there was something in the regional planning notes about this that made me, what I do with this. I think there was something in here about section, states that an access road turnaround space and parking shall be provided. There's not appear to be parking requirements. Staff recommends a parking area maximum for tower-based WCs outside of the parking, out of the public right-of-way, or deleting the parking requirement altogether. Also in the same section, there's reference to township street standards, which we've already addressed.
Meaning they don't prefer we have vehicles parking on or around the areas where the WCFs are located.
That would be my guess.
That makes sense. I mean, you might need a space sufficiently sizable for a repair truck, right?
Or a few trucks.
Okay. So where's the beef? What's the beef? Or do we have? Do we have people putting parking on an RR? Are we requiring them to put parking in an RR?
Adequate parking. Adequate and access road turnaround space and parking shall be provided to ensure adequate emergency and service access, but I guess they're saying maybe we should define with numbers what adequate is, so it doesn't get too big. It's just a recommendation, I made notes.
I don't think any tower builder is gonna wanna pay for more asphalt than they absolutely have to. It'll be a self-regulating kind of thing.
The flip side of it is I don't want them to start maintaining or parking their fleet of repair vehicles underneath a WCF property site just because it's convenient and it ends up being
This is the kind of issue that can be developed perhaps by lease, in terms of the lease at the tower site.
The resolution calls for gravel, so they don't have to worry about asphalt. All they have to do
gravel.
is pour the gravel to not disturb the soil.
Yeah. They're gonna have a vested interest in wanting to have a secure space to park from time to time, because otherwise they won't be able to get their dang good trucks. I don't know if there's any statute anywhere that says anything about roads to oil wells, but it seems like there's always a gravel road leading to an oil well and to a tank and everything.
I'm inclined to think that when we put these things in about minimizing disturbance to the ground, minimizing disturbance of vegetation, that if they get out of hand with their parking, whoever's granting the permit can make that call based on the minimum disruption provisions.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay,
thought we should
so
address
RPC,
everything.
okay, we read RPC,
Right,
we've discussed it.
right.
We okay with the way it reads?
I'm okay with the way it is, except
Okay.
for municipal.
Okay.
That's been changed already.
Right.
It's deleted.
Just so we're, well, it's been replaced with, are we deleting it entirely, or we're putting in township instead?
I thought we
The
deleted.
applicable
Okay.
Plain
standards,
Just take out the word municipal.
whatever's
Applicable standards.
Applicable street
Right.
standards for private streets, there you go.
Yeah, interstate highway standards,
good with
yeah,
that.
that's what applies.
Okay, so we're down to C1, location. I'm suggesting a flip-flop of some words there. It says the tower-based wireless communication facility shall be located only in public right-of-way if the following conditions are met. I would propose shall be located in the PROW only if the following conditions are met.
Okay,
I agree.
So the only should be
in the wrong place.
after PROW.
Right.
Okay.
That's a good catch.
The next section I got is 13A, or sorry, 3A under equipment location.
I just have a quick question for Tom about B. Is the intent of B there to require the applicant to show the need so that this isn't random building okay, that makes sense. Can I go, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Then, before you go down that far, can we look at 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were right above 2. Aren't you just talking about?
Yeah,
1B?
I just asked what, if the purpose was to prevent needless construction and to assure efficient use of other facilities.
For 1B, right, under C?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, 2's new.
okay. Height.
Okay, in 2, I've added 2 paragraphs. Lined out, tower-based WCF shall not exceed.
Okay,
Got rid of all that, and then it says, the proposed cell tower cannot top at a height that is greater than either the maximum allowable height of residential structures within the zone area as set forth in the applicable zoning regulations, or the maximum allowable height of such freestanding structure as set forth in any applicable zoning regulation in effect immediately prior to, and it gives dates, that was taken out of 5/19/211, B1. Do you guys have that in yours?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. I'm wondering if we still should leave the 35 in there, but say that height shall not exceed the greater, or the greater of 35 feet, or these other 2
All
things.
right, first we should be calling it a tower-based WCF, right, instead of a cell tower.
I've got that, Chad, I've got the tower-based WCF in my computer right
Mine
now.
doesn't. Tower-based WCF
Right.
cannot top at a height that is greater than either,
What is the greatest allowable height of a residential structure?
35 feet.
Okay, so that would be redundant to say 35 at this point then. if we
Oh, we're
say
good.
that. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so we're okay.
in the first sentence, shall not exceed 35 feet, you want to keep that?
No, I'm just saying, my thought was this, to put a number as well as your language, but if the number is the one and the same, that's okay. I get where you're coming from.
and I would suggest we put reference in brackets or something at the end of the paragraph.
Okay, reference.
And I think we should call these sections A and B because there's 2 separate paragraphs. the attached structure. I have more trouble with new section B type paragraph 2, or section 2 height.
The attached structure is proposed to top at a height. When they attach them to a building, a water tower, a barn, not necessarily a barn.
Okay, so this is heights of WCFs.
Tower-based WCF.
No,
The first one. That's not the second one. This whole section's on tower-based WCF, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, it might be thrown in the wrong place.
Fair enough.
It's,
Why don't we
it's
just
talking
say-
about antennas that are attached to buildings.
okay, so I like the idea of keeping them together. There's a height requirement. A deals with tower, instead of the proposed tower, we could say
That should be in-
cell tower WCFs, or tower WCFs cannot top, and then WCFs attached to structures cannot top it for B.
I would disagree. The very next section, D, is non-tower based, and we could put a height section in there that would make more sense and line up. So there's a location.
Tower-based and accessory equipment.
What was wrong with the original single sentence, a tower-based WCF shall not exceed 35 feet when located within the PROW?
Because he's saying the law is telling us it has to have two choices. It can be one or the other. Is that right, Tom?
Well, you've got two different modes. You have a tower, and then you have an antenna. The tower takes the antenna to a height, and just the antenna in the second one, the building is taking the antenna to a height, or the structure is taking it.
Okay, so you're saying an attached structure, that would still be a tower-based WCF?
It is a WCF, but
It's not tower-based.
It's not a tower, because it's not.
That's why it should be in the next section.
Self-supported.
And it may be, Terry, I think Terry's question was,
Why not leave it alone?
forget, yeah, what's the original language?
Yeah, just leave it there. I'm looking
Should
at,
not exceed 35 feet.
I'm looking at 519, 211, 1, D, 1 and 2. I don't interpret that as a requirement, that any kind of choice can be made. I'd say just stick with a tower-based WCF shall not exceed 35 feet. It says 40, parentheses 35, but I think you meant 35, parentheses 35 feet.
Good catch.
So,
And are we saying 35 because that is the maximum allowable height in a residential? So do we want to say, for purposes if we ever change the maximum height, to say, or the maximum height whichever, permitted whichever is smaller? No?
Tom,
I just go with 35 feet.
Tom, what is the maximum allowable height of a freestanding structure as set forth in, as of 1996?
35 feet.
35 feet.
We asked that.
Well, it's also the area of the residential, allowable height of a residential structure is 35 feet. So it's 35 feet either way.
Well, if you go into industrial, you can go to 60 feet.
Yeah, but these, so far, WCFs are permitted in one district
In one.
only, so,
But this is in right of ways.
No, but it's still in our, well, that's right, our right of way could be outside.
This could be a right of way outside a commercial or an industrial district, and we still want them to be lower than the top of the building.
Well, it'd be whatever the height limit is in the industrial.
I see what you're saying, because the code's telling us we can't regulate it if it's below the height of surrounding buildings.
Right.
I would recommend that we, the number 2 height, read a tower-based WCF, and then take out the proposed cell tower, and then just as the rest of that's typed up, but I don't think the next paragraph below, the second new paragraph fits there. It's not tower-based.
In 519.211B1, it says, as used in this division, telecommunications tower means any freestanding structure or any structure to be attached to a building or other structure that meets all of the following. And it gives several. It's after a particular date, and it's principally used.
Yeah, but we don't define attached structure in our definition section.
No.
And we didn't define telecommunications tower either, did we? We're calling them WCFs.
Yeah. And then there's antennas though, those are WTAs, including towers.
So for consistency, we should be saying what? WCAs that are attached to towers or poles are one thing, WCAs that are attached to structures fall into the second category that he's.
Apparently, according, I mean, that's what I'm trying to get here. We're defining WCFs one way, and apparently at least this one section of the Ohio Revised Code expands that definition to include antennas that are attached to another structure. But why, that would be, hold on. That's in the public right of way.
Isn't that why we call them facilities?
I actually like this, only because
Why we need it, the revised code provides.
It is simply a definition in the revised code. I would say 2, a tower-based WCF shall not exceed the structure height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed.
Period. Because that includes antennas.
But the zoning district could be placed in city residential.
But as Steve said, well, I don't know that, I agree, John. I don't think that,
I mean, the revised code controls it, it's, I mean, I don't care what you put in here, it's the revised code's going to control it.
yeah, I don't, I mean, is there a federal law that says screw the zoning code when it comes to
FTC
facilities
will
and
override it.
Yeah.
right of way, public right of way, all is fair in love and war?
So are we trying to say that outside of an industrial area in a public right of way, they can have up to 59 feet for their antennas?
Actually, they can have 60 feet. They can reach the limit.
But the
of
old
height for
regulation
that district.
would have kept it at 35 feet, if we would have kept that original paragraph. Is that right?
Yes.
They're only conditionally
Yes.
permitted in one district.
Right now, we're only, yeah.
Okay.
Why don't we leave?
where they're building them in the right of way though, they're not seeking a permit, but we're trying to impose additional standards, and this is where we're talking, that this comes in, and I hear what you're saying about the revised code dictating it, and so rather than gum up our language with the revised code, I like the idea that Terry suggested, that a WCF shall not exceed
A structure height limit
the structure height limit in the applicable district.
in the zoning district in which it is to be placed.
Okay.
Okay, let me get that language over, hold on. WC tower,
WCF.
tower-based WCF shall not
Exceed
exceed
a the structure height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed.
The structured height limit.
The zoning district
The zoning district
in which it is to be placed.
in which it
Varies in
is
Spanish.
to be placed. Okay,
Now,
and
why
that gets
are
rid of
we,
everything else.
why are we saying a tower base? Aren't we, doesn't this apply to all WCFs?
Because we are in a section C that's
Yes,
all about
tower-based.
tower-based.
And be located. Okay. And tower includes poles?
Whatever tower is defined
Well,
as.
that's in,
Tower is
Question.
Well,
defined
yeah,
in
the tower is a
Section
self-supporting.
see, here, the non-tower based stuff comes later.
Okay, I just want to make sure our definition is consistent with the revised code, because, all right.
We're all right.
Tower means any structure that is designed to support one or more antennas. Remove radio tower, microwave tower, common carrier tower, signal tower, and all other structural roads to be ensured light. The term includes the structure and structure too. Does it include a telephone pole? Isn't that part of what we're talking about?
Yeah, they can attach the telephone poles, that's attach an antenna to the existing pole.
And so we're saying the antenna and the pole can't exceed the maximum height
Well,
of the
remember,
structure down here.
W-
So it has to be 35 feet.
WCF includes antennas by definition, as well as towers.
Can I throw a wrench into this?
Go ahead. Might as well.
Why not?
We also cannot discriminate. If the power company, AEP has a 45-foot power pole or poles running down that street in a residential area, and they want to come in and put in a 45-foot tower, then we would be discriminating against them as a public utility by not allowing them to be at least as high as all the other poles that are on the
Tell the
street.
judge.
Make it part of the negotiations.
I like that.
Tell the judge.
Make it part of the negotiations.
That'll wash itself through.
Okay, I've got,
Well,
I
and
understand.
if it's an application to the BZA for a conditional use permit, they'll deal with that
Yeah.
as a circumstance.
I agree. Good.
Perfect.
They can make their
Can
case to
can I
the
go
sole
over
man.
this one time? I'm sorry, okay.
So they can make their case to the sole man and to
There
his
it is.
compadres.
Okay,
John
on
knows one.
height, what I've got is a tower-based WCF shall not exceed the structure height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed. 35 feet is
Period.
it. Period. Okay, so we don't have to have within the PROW.
No. Because that's based, that's, the whole thing is in the PROW.
Yep.
And then we're getting rid of the 2 paragraphs below it.
Yeah. And next, under section 3, equipment location, subsection A,
Oh, co-location is misspelled.
well, is it still
That's been
misspelled?
corrected here.
Okay.
You
Because
just think it's wrong.
you're just reading it.
Yeah.
There's 4 places where that's, well, but that's also, they talk about the zoning people, or sorry, county review says that there's references to subsections N1 through 4,
Yeah.
which don't exist.
And I changed that to subsections 3B, 1 through 4.
3,
B, 1 through 4.
E1 through 4.
Which is directly below.
Which is directly below.
Of this, I would say subsection. I have a blank for C.
I do too. I assume that could just become D.
I think that's just a typo.
Oh, that, I think, yeah, it is. I corrected that.
So C is now, or
All those letters get changed.
all letters get reduced by
I think
one.
that was a
C,
change.
D,
Yeah.
E.
It's really not a change from what was originally
All
proposed.
right,
to
just
us.
the,
Trying to fix it, he created a new blank subsection.
So D is now C.
Yeah, if you look at the original, yeah, it's all because C, D, E, F, and G.
Just
N,
change
G
the
instead of
letters.
H.
Okay, 4B, about height extensions. Unless it's a significant, we're not allowed to regulate an extension once it's approved. Is that right? The way isn't there a statute on that? That's one of the ones you said.
Height extension?
Height,
where, they can't go over 10 feet.
okay. So should that read any height extensions greater than 10 feet?
No, we're telling them they're allowed to get 10-footers then.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they know that already.
Okay. Right. So guy wires are not permitted, guy wires are not permitted.
Not on the small towers.
Yeah, we're in the public, small towers in the public right away. There's not a lot of room.
Don't they use guy wires on phone poles?
Oh, there are a few of them that they use.
They like to,
You're right.
Yes, they'd like to.
Yeah, because they're bendy.
unless it's on your property, which you tell them to get it off, and they'll have it off the next day.
Yeah.
You see those new towers?
A lot of clothesline injuries with guys on,
Martindale.
they like to mow fast. Okay. Where are we, fellas? 5?
5.
In practice, Tom, would an applicant come to you with their permit application and say, I want approval for up to 10 antennas, and they'd build it that way, or they would come for one antenna and then they'd come for a new app every time they added an antenna? Because it sounds to me like a lot of these outfits they don't know exactly how many users they're gonna have, but they want to have capacity. So how would that work?
They have been coming to us, looking at putting in 1 or 2 towers in an area, and apparently they try that and see how it works and how far it goes, or how it works, and then they apply for a second or a fourth or 10th.
Now, what I'm referring to though is attachments of additional antennas to the thing already. And I guess my question is, does the applicant usually have an idea what the capacity is going to be, or do
They can put as many as 4 on a mini tower,
okay?
3 to 4 antennas on.
So would our application say, how many antennas do you intend to attach? So that we know, it says they can't install any additional without obtaining prior written approval. So how do we know at the
The
outset?
permit would have to say,
Okay,
would have to ask.
I guess that's why I'm asking. I have not seen an application of what it would look like, and how does an enforcer or a zoning enforcement officer know if they installed new ones or not, unless they're disclosing that in the application process?
Getting there.
Do we want to restrict how many they can apply?
I don't think so.
Well, to me, I'm just asking, because one of the things that we're trying to do is keep it aesthetically pleasing and not too obtrusive and whatever, and the ugliest ones are the ones that have multiple attachments to them in seeming haphazard manner to the point where they get ugly.
Yeah, but aren't we already better off just saying you have to camouflage and be aesthetically pleasing, and isn't that enough of a requirement?
Yeah, but at
So
some
if you
point,
can
you
put
can't
20
camouflage
inside-
30 of them.
Yeah, but if you can camouflage 30 inside a pole, who cares if there's 30?
Well, I guess, all right. I guess I'm wondering how you enforce that. How do you know if they've added them or not? And I don't want to create an enforcement nightmare.
And I don't know that you really know unless you go around and look at the poles and you have a permit applicant or a permit in front of you and you say, that's only supposed to have 2 and it's got 4. They can go up if nobody sees them and add anything they want
Yeah, I'm sure they do that too.
until they're found. Now, an engineer will know how many antennas are on just by the signal.
And aren't we getting approval from the county engineer for safety and strength and all that stuff?
No, we can get an engineer, yes. My thought was not for the strength and all that, but that's not a bad idea.
Well, one of the, on the previous page, the structure must be a sufficient structural strength to accommodate the facility. That's
All right, what are you looking at now?
an engineer analysis report of the recommended
Yes.
site location, and one of those includes structural strength to accommodate the facility. If we're not specifically measuring the number of antennas or whatever on that facility, that we're getting the analysis or report from,
Well, the engineer is supposed to be licensed, and so his report should indicate how many antennas that tower can carry.
safely accommodate.
Yeah,
So why don't,
and because he's licensed, he's risking losing it if they overdo it.
do we say anywhere that the permittee or applicant will disclose the number, or the configuration, the number of antennas and the whatever in the facility, so that,
No.
okay. Do we want to? Do we want to make them commit to what's going to go there so we can know if they're
Well,
expanding?
We can do that on the permit.
It might be basic, but don't we want the applicant to make sure they construct it in conformance with to comply with the engineering analysis? We don't actually say that.
I think
Anywhere.
we have it there through ANSI, or is that above for?
Surrounding environment, that's the soil report, the geotechnical investigations, the ANSI manual. That's the soil report, is that what you're referring to? The ANSI?
No, there's a structural, I thought,
I might have missed it.
Well,
It's on 3B, it says an engineer's analysis report of recommended site location area for the proposed facility.
in addition, they have to do these things. I mean, ideally, under number 3, equipment location, we're asking them to do everything, A through G, right? Is that clear, the way it's written up there? That they need to do all? The applicant shall also comply with the following, or provide.
Maybe the place to do it would be page 8, number 6, or thereabouts, where we talk about the tower-based WCF must be designed to allow for future rearrangement of antennas upon the tower, and to accommodate additional users. So we want them to build it, to accommodate additional users, but we want them to come and talk to us about it before they attach additional users each time. Is that what, I mean, do you want to get into the job of policing that?
I think that's pretty much gonna be like what it is now. When they add, they come and I give them a letter saying, I can't control that, go ahead.
Okay. And what do you want us to provide you as a tool to make it different? Do you want a safeguard that they're still within the compliance of their engineering report or whatever, that it's still within the structural strength assessment, whatever that they're providing at the time of the application?
You could, you'd have to.
I don't make your job too hard. I want to put the burden on them to show that it's been designed for that capacity.
Right.
And if they're doing anything more than what they've been permitted to, then they need to come back to us. That's what I'm thinking.
And that wouldn't put anything on me, that would be the BZA, that would be making sure of that.
Okay, so I'm back to my original question. Do we have some way to determine how many they've been permitted to put on at the outset so that we know if they're adding?
Nothing other than the permit.
We didn't require them to indicate how many, a specific number, except that it needs to be expandable to accommodate additional users.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we now?
Now, we're,
Yeah, because I want to back up under the equipment location, where should we fix? I think just to be done properly and call all these things requirements, the first two should start with the applicant shall provide. That is 3A and 3B should start with the applicant shall provide a notarized affidavit. Under B, the applicant shall provide an engineer's analysis. Because it looks like this was cobbled together from more than one section. And if you look at it, if you want these all to be inclusive requirements, I think you just need to change the language a little bit. Okay.
Sounds fine to me.
An applicant shall provide a notarized affidavit.
Yeah, the applicant shall provide is language that should be added to 3A and B at the very beginning.
The applicant.
or you could put in addition, the applicant shall, colon.
No, because that doesn't work with C,
Oh, I see.
D, E, F, and G, that's
Gotcha,
right.
gotcha.
Shall
Okay.
provide them.
Yeah, and just under B, A and B, if you look, the typeface is different, I think it's coming from two different,
Yeah, it changed in the
Size.
transition,
yeah, all right.
and I changed it up. And
Okay,
then under
sorry.
B, the same thing.
Yes,
The applicant shall provide.
Very kind.
okay, very good. Sneaky voter fun. Okay. All right, we back to, are we to subsection, or section D, non-tower based wireless communication facilities in public right of way?
Okay, where are we again? I gotta
Next page.
scroll down. 11?
Non-tower
So
based.
D, non-tower based.
Okay.
Firebase. First of all, in the introductory paragraph, we can replace wireless communication facilities with WCFs.
Done.
And my question is, is it necessary to have a height requirement here like we had in the previous section? I don't know that there is, I'm just asking the question.
In the public rights of way.
Yes. Well, where's the height requirement? It says, we have it talks about 8 foot, no more than 6 feet in height that are comparable in scale, proportion, instructions which they are mounted.
I think we should have the same height requirement, and not to exceed the
Well, that's what I was gonna recommend, we had a section C there.
The height of a building or the structure in the, allowed in the,
I think that's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, under section
designated.
B2, we got a section C that mirrors the language from height that we just did, which says
Which says,
however, a
shall
non,
not exceed the structure
Right.
height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed.
right, except we had the word non-tower based,
Correct.
WCF shall not,
Shall not exceed
See, I
the
got it.
structure height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed.
Say that one more time, Jerry.
Yeah. It's, shall not exceed the structure height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed.
Should we add, not, I mean, we talked about height requirements earlier, should we say notwithstanding any other provision, comma, non-tower based, WCF shall not exceed, et cetera, et cetera? No?
I would just say, just
Okay.
make the flat statement.
Okay. All right, where are we?
Tom, do we differentiate between building and structure in terms of height limits?
No.
The revised code says the height of the building or other structure it refers to. But the height limit in a district applies to all buildings, structures, whatever,
Yes.
uniformly.
Yes.
No matter what kind of building or
You
structure.
want to put a 40-foot feed bin in your backyard, you can't do it.
I see, okay, got it.
I have a 35, 37.
You're in the trees anyway, nobody knows.
That's right.
See, okay, now here's the language, we just,
That's right. I
So
saw
how did we do that? Did we put a new 2 in
we put a 2C, 2 subsection C,
called height?
well, I can call it anything, because there's no, the C, the subsections don't have names.
Oh. Well, the previous section we called it,
Well, because it was out here.
height, location, and design. Here we got location, design, and then we're putting height under design?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
design also already talks about height restrictions.
I was just thinking for consistency.
I get you, but either way it would work.
My spell check got me here. Non-tower based WCFs, with the one we just added.
Yeah.
Letter C. Non-tower based WCFs shall not exceed. it
The
changes
structure.
The structure, all
The
structures.
structure,
Structure,
height limit
It changed it stricter.
in the zoning district in which it is to be placed.
Okay. I'm okay with scripture also.
The stricter the best.
And 3 looks like a duplicate of 3 equipment location, except omitting sections B and A and B from the last section.
So no engineering reports on that?
Right.
Who's the township engineer?
Anybody would have.
There you go.
We don't have, not for this, we don't know yet. We're gonna need to locate somebody.
I mean, because there's a reference to the township engineer.
Should we change that to engineer? What I was trying to do is indicate that we will hire an engineer, and then later on, we talk about at a cost to the applicant.
Okay, I'm missing, where are you talking about township engineer?
B,
3B?
yes.
We'll talk about an engineer and engineer's report. Where does it say township engineer?
Second line,
To the satisfaction of the township engineer.
Oh, I'm in a different section. Where page are you on?
Okay, just a quick question. This is in the public right-of-way. We consider the right-of-way part of the road. In our township, the road supervisor or superintendent has control over the roads. Is he or is he not, does he have access to engineering resources?
I'm sure he does.
So why don't we make it his job?
And I am not sure that the permit should not come from the road department since they control the roads.
See, this is one of the things I wanted to ask Eric or whoever's going to be giving us.
Well, we need to, okay, when we need to ask him specific things,
Okay,
because he looks at me and goes, what do you want to know?
I see, okay.
So, let me
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah,
Well,
we'd be better with non-shotgun questions. Right? Okay.
so what are we doing there? Are we taking the engineer out?
I think we're substituting road supervisor. Or road superintendent.
Why don't we just say township?
Why don't you say township is right, and then whoever the township wants to utilize for that purpose is fine.
Just take out engineer.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
I
good-
like that.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay, good catch.
Elsewhere, just curious, elsewhere in our resolution, do we set application fees based on the amount of work or complexity of the application?
No.
Like for PUDs and whatnot, are they, can we do that? I mean, would it be advisable to do that when there's going to need to be engineering studies?
We do have standards, but it's mostly on the size of the structure that's being built. And we charge per square foot,
Okay.
generally 10 cents a square foot.
But that's the footprint.
Yes.
So it could be a very
What's
small
the footprint
footprint of a very large tower.
Right.
How is the how is that, where do you get your footprint language from to set up charges for your zoning changes?
I only ask that because I think we should have specific charges for these kind of things when there's more cost to the township to evaluate.
I don't know right off the bat.
Because if there's something out, is it based
It
on the
is- it
zoning?
is- I think it's generally what the trustees decide to charge. Because if I wanted to charge more, if I needed more income for the amount of work we're doing, then I would go to the trustees and say this $25 basic fee for the permit is not enough. And we need this much more because, and they would make that decision.
The zoning resolution in this book does not cover the application fees, so.
So not up to us.
You know, and I think
509.
the ORC says that it's up to the trustees to set appropriate charge, if I can recall.
So we want to add a recommendation to the trustees to consider adjusting the fees for these type of applications under this new zoning, under this Article 9 team.
My guess is Tom will quickly put a price tag on that and make his own recommendation. Am I correct, Tom?
We're gonna have to sit down. Again, the law says that the fees cannot be,
They can't exceed your quote-unquote actual cost.
yeah, and I think there's a $50 limit.
Per pole or something, or per
Yeah.
whatever, yeah. Okay, and as the more I look at this, this says that we're putting the burden on the applicant to demonstrate to the satisfaction of the township that the equipment cannot be underground. So basically, we're asking them to provide some engineering reports or some engineering testimony or expertise. If we want to challenge that as a township, or the township wants to challenge that, that can be done on a case-by-case basis, depending on the satisfactory demonstration of the applicant. Okay, got it.
And I think the BCA could do that easily during the process.
Correct, that's part of what the BZ is for, is if somebody thinks the township was arbitrary and turning something down, BZA. BZA is the zoning safety valve. Yeah, right.
So the time, place, and manner in a right-of-way issue would fall again in the purview of the road superintendent.
Just pick the township.
Yeah, exactly.
Just make it.
Township shall be-
It says the township, it says the township, and that's fine. I'm clarifying my understanding for Tom. He's gonna probably be coordinating a bit of this with
Yes.
his counterpart in the road department. Okay. Where did we get this language on page 13, number 5, about relocation or removal of facilities within 60 days following written notice? Is that specifically from, it looks like very close to what I saw in the revised code.
It's, and that's where the 60 days comes from.
Okay,
And I'm still, I need to check one more place to make sure that's not 90 days.
Well, I say leave it 60 for today's purposes. So we get this thing moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6.
we've got about 5 more pages to wade through. Does anybody need a break, or do we want to plow through?
Plow through.
Let's plow. Believe me, if I need to
Well,
go to the
I'll
head.
yell.
the last 2 pages are already gone.
So we're now on page 14, non-tower based, outside the right of way.
Yeah. So I got it.
So where would those be, other than in an RR?
Well, there's some other locations when you have I guess what you'd call an antenna.
Yeah, you could put them on buildings.
And we're allowed to regulate them if they're in a residential district. That's what the revised code says. Okay. We're not restricting it to that, though, we're just saying outside of the public right of way. Okay.
In fact, beginning with R1, you already have wireless telecommunication antenna as a conditionally permitted use. I say just leave one alone and let the BZA, I mean, it's
On a case-by-case
yeah,
basis.
it's never gonna be an unconditionally permitted use, it's always gonna be conditionally permitted. And you just have to make their case to the BZA.
Isn't that what we were talking about earlier?
What?
Because that was inside a tower-based wireless, because. Height, number 4 needs to be fixed. First of all, there's duplicative language at the beginning.
You can almost let it read as A, and just drop the A, and just start with the height of the non-tower based. There should be no greater than.
Is that what we want to say? Not higher than 20? Or do you want to go with this language you've been using for height all the way through?
Yeah, because of the structure,
7 feet above the roof parapet.
Because you got a 3-story, I just,
You do have a height limit already.
Why would we want to allow them to be 20 feet when we've already limited to the height of the structure?
That's what I'm saying.
Why would we allow it to be 20?
Well, it's no greater than 20. If the house is 18 feet high, you've got some room to move, they might want to put something higher than 20 feet to make the 35 foot.
This language is taken from condition 124. See, for example.
Why don't we just say the tower-based WCF shall not exceed the structure height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed, and use the same language you've been using all the way through. That keeps it 35,
We already have a regulation on that, is what you're saying, Terry.
Yeah,
And it's number 124, and this is a
restatement.
restatement of that.
yeah, it's.
Have we conflicted 124 with what we've dealt with elsewhere in number 19, though, when we said it won't be higher than the permitted height of a structure in the designated district?
No, for the tower-based WCFs, there's a different condition.
No, we
I have no problems.
tower-based, and then we did it to non-tower-based.
Here, this is non-tower-based, 124.
We added that, that's the section we added under non-tower-based, the public right of way.
2C, we added the 2C.
Well, yeah, we added the 2C. I'm just saying, let's use the same language
I agree.
all the way through, and it's consistent, and, you know, the only way that it might be problematic is if somebody has a 14-foot high structure, and they want to add an antenna that's 21 feet high, well, it's still gonna be restricted, and we're talking about one foot. I mean, you have to be a really small structure,
Yeah.
and still, you're gonna, if as long as it's RR, we're in 35 feet, right?
In RR, no,
Well, I mean,
in RR, no.
well then, what are we trying to say here? No greater than 25 feet?
We're giving the BZA some discretion for another 20 feet if we do this.
Right.
Do we want to do that?
A tower-based WCF shall not exceed the structure height limit in the zoning district which is to be placed, period.
That'd be fine. Because that would still pick up condition 124.
They can still grant variances.
Yeah.
Why should we tell them it could be up to 20 feet automatically?
Right.
Yeah,
You just want to take out 4 entirely?
Take out 4.
you can take it out
Because
completely.
we've addressed height,
Yeah.
to me, we've addressed height elsewhere in section 19,
Okay,
or in article 19, I
Let's
mean.
make sure.
We addressed height
Tower-based.
with respect to tower-based wireless communications facilities.
Outside the public right of way.
Now we're addressing non-tower-based wireless communications facilities. So
We've addressed both, but not outside the public right of way. That's why we need to put it in here. So the same language we used in 2 other places regarding height goes in there.
yeah,
Same.
shall not exceed the structure height limit. Or you could even say the height limit, taking out the word structure, in the zoning district in which it is to be placed.
Same language as you have.
Yeah, Same language for height.
Yeah, let's just use the exact same language all the
I'm
way
sorry,
through.
I was working on this, I missed, are we?
Okay,
going
we
back to
are
4?
now at F4, Tom.
Okay.
Non-tower for height, and we want to drop in the same,
A
Okay, so-
non,
Hold on, I gotta back up,
okay,
because I deleted it.
well, this,
you can delete, because we're going to substitute, you can delete what was
yeah,
there.
leave what was there, just need number 4, height.
Okay. So we got height.
A non-tower-based WCF shall not exceed
Maximum allowable height.
the structure height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed. Period.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I thought we said for structures, the maximum allowable height for structures.
This is the language we've been using the whole time. Shall not exceed the structure height limit in the zoning district in which it is to be placed. That's the master language there. Now, I'm at G, whenever you guys are.
Where you at?
G, procedure.
Yeah, could I
No.
just slow you down?
That's fine, that's why I threw it out there.
5A is a reference to 1901.2 stealth technology, right? Is it
5A, mine says 1400.
Yeah, mine says
14.2?
That was the
Should be
numbers I
19.
was going through. I've changed this to 1901.2.
Okay.
1901.2, but is there 1901.2?
Is that stealth?
Go look.
I don't know if there is one.
You said 1900.
1901,
Yeah, 1901.2.
That's height.
1900?
I think the section number is actually 1900.2. So it's 1900.2.
2, and then
It's 9.
subsection 9.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure how you would do that, but I'm writing it.
1900.2 parentheses 9.
Close paren.
Yeah.
Right.
Another good catch.
Okay, 1900.2,
1900.2 paren,
Parentheses 9.
open parentheses, 9.
close parentheses.
Okay.
I knew it wasn't 1400.3. That I knew.
That's a good guess.
No, John actually was looking at it at the same time. So,
Should that be 1900?
Yeah, 1900.
point
1900.
Everything else is
00.
1901.
No, it's 1900.
Okay.
Well, if it's 1901, it's 1.
We don't have any 1901.
Yeah, everything's 1900. You changed it. Tom.
Okay, I'm looking at the wrong sheet.
That's the change that you made and we adopted at the beginning of the meeting. Change everything to 1900. There you go. You're still on that?
I am envisioning, or trying to envision, what a ground shelter under 5B would look like on a non-tower-based communication facility outside of a public right-of-way. This is what, like a utility shed of
Yeah.
some kind?
They put their equipment in there, all their electrical equipment is stored inside, and it's locked up, so it can't be messed with.
So it's something similar to what they have over on Mount Pleasant.
Okay. Why would we want them above ground?
Don't, it says we prefer that they're underneath.
But then we go on to mandate that it will be located in a shelter designed to resemble other structures.
D says, maybe we should put D in front of B. Placement of equipment underground is encouraged, and the responsibility of the applicant shows that such placement underground is not feasible and above-ground shelter is necessary. Maybe we should switch B and B.
Or we should put that sentence, D, as the very first sentence of B, and then we would go on to say that if it's gonna be placed on the ground, it's gotta be in a shelter.
Yeah, all right. Move D to the front of B and combine it with B.
Okay, all of D,
All of D is at the beginning of B.
okay.
And then C, and now E becomes D.
Okay, now, it's gonna say, is not feasible and above-ground shelter is necessary, period. Any related equipment?
Any related equipment placed on the ground, which means above
Okay.
ground, shall be then located. So we're basically telling them, put it underground, but if you have to put it above ground, it's gotta be enclosed and there's side limits.
Okay, A, B, C, D.
So B becomes C, C becomes D.
No, we just put the language of D at the beginning of B and combine it with B.
Oh, okay.
Sort of emphasizing we want it underground.
That's the way to do it.
And then C stays the same and E becomes D, as in dog.
Okay.
Okay.
Procedure. So we had procedure, fellas?
Yeah, and here's what the regional plan says.
We have an A but no B, but other than that,
Well, but let me go to the very beginning of that section, first of all.
all right.
Section 1903G, the procedure section states that all applications for development of a tower-based WCF shall be considered a land development plan and must be reviewed and permitted by the BZA. Actually, it should say BZA, but it says Plain Township Board of Zoning. The amendment earlier states that all WCFs, tower or non-tower, are conditionally permitted in the township and require a scaled site plan. Staff recommends revisiting the section to either combine it with the appropriate tower-based section or modify it to apply to all WCFs.
Well, I would modify it to apply to all WCFs.
And they're suggesting to move it to,
Well, that's a different issue.
oh, they're saying the requirement, application requirement to the procedure section.
I've already done that.
Okay, all right, so let's see.
So where does it say that, can you do a search for conditionally permitted? And tell us what section we're looking at? Tom, just do a search, Control F,
Conditionally,
Control F, conditionally permitted. Where does that show up in the document? Because they don't tell us and I'm trying to find that.
Well, John can tell you, because he's looking at the old version that had the 19013G.
Yeah. Maybe it just says conditional, instead of conditionally.
it says, so I want to go to find, right?
Go to find, put in conditional.
Okay, find what I have conditionally permitted.
Okay, does it
That's
show
just
up
it.
anywhere? Does it show up anywhere in the document?
It doesn't even go off that page. I've got main document, headers, footers, comments, main document. went to the document. We found no items matching the
All right,
criteria.
and just put in conditional. Conditional.
Or a land development plan, that'll.
It's on page 6, conditional use permit. Under number 18. But that's a definition. Yeah, but that's just a definition. All WCF permit applicants will be required to obtain a conditional use permit through the Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals. So that's what I think they're talking about. The resolution already tells them it's conditional use. And in here, we're saying something, and then under procedures, we're saying something different.
I have a simple way around
How do you,
G.
go for it. Go for it.
Okay, that whole first thing, 1, just forget about it. Cross out A and evidence of need.
And make that
And
one.
again, maybe it's 1, but as part of an application for a WCF, an applicant shall submit, and then I'll leave the rest of it.
Okay, so we're taking what was previously paragraph number 1, just taking the whole thing out. Bill, it's gonna be, we're gonna need a number 1, because that's where I added in that language.
But there's no number 2.
Well, there will be.
Okay, all right, so leave it as a 1, and then instead of
A,
A,
it's 1.
that becomes,
It just says an app, or
are
as
you
part
with
of
us, Tom?
As part of an application.
As part of an application for a
Well, no, how
WCF.
about this? Leave, number 1, in addition to, number 1, take the first sentence out and say, the following information shall be submitted at the time of the application.
That's fine too.
And then you've got evidence of need.
There should be 1 then,
Well, if you leave number 1 where it is and it don't, but all it says is the following information shall be submitted.
Evidence of need.
Hmm?
That's fine, leave evidence of need, and then go on to say the applicant shall submit the evidence of need.
Right, evidence of need stays in A, because, but there's no need.
And how would that differ from what you would propose?
I think it, pardon?
How would that differ from what you're proposing? Part of it.
A little punchy right now.
Okay.
The whole point was,
But see,
Get rid of the A and get the numbering on it.
no, look, if you put a B in front of that stuff at the very end of the section that I added on from it, we took it out earlier.
the
This is
scale,
a,
were you talking about a scaled site plan?
yeah, make that B.
Okay, that's fine. So basically,
Well, just call it site plan.
so 1, as part of an application for a WCF, an applicant shall submit. And it just goes right into what,
Part of that following.
So we're okay.
Applicant shall submit.
anything that leads inevitably to the rest of.
Did you get that, Tom?
Number 1, under procedures, as part of the application for WCF, the applicant shall submit to the Plain Township Zoning Department, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And number 1 is gone above it, so I'll delete that.
So it becomes 1.
That becomes 1. Okay.
And then,
Well, there's no 2, but that's still, it's okay.
We wanted to just, the following information shall be submitted at the time of the application.
All right, technically, we can just put,
the scaled site plan part.
look, just put the language as a part of the application right behind where it says procedure. That eliminates the need for a number 1 there.
Say that again.
Just move the language you just put in, move it up, so it's
Next to
part of, right next to procedure.
So procedure isn't just a heading, it's gonna actually be some text.
But we've done that in other
So
sections.
will it still be G?
It's still G, we've just done it in
All right,
other sections.
okay.
See, look. And D,
Got it.
the following,
Got it.
and then Evidence of need becomes number 1 with subsections A, B, and C.
Evidence
And
of need, I gotta bring it back.
And D, E, and F, I assume?
yeah, part of the application, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so, all that.
Part of the application, then you have a new number, paragraph number 1 that starts with evidence of need, right?
What is blah, blah, blah?
Well, I didn't write it all down, he got it. He read it back, so I asked him to read it back to us. And then the evidence of need should be in bold to be consistent with the other sections.
Okay.
Number 1,
I just want to make sure Tom has it.
you with me, Tom?
Number 1 is gonna be evidence of need.
And that title is in bold, to be consistent with your other sections.
Just think, Greg, he could probably be in Hawaii now.
Down here,
Should.
procedure.
I just came back from California last night.
Part of the applicant shall submit, period, colon, after, put a colon here,
Shall submit.
after the department, yeah, shall submit to the department, colon,
What's that?
drop down, paragraph, new paragraph. That's number 1, which used to be up here, and we're gonna call it evidence of need.
Hmm?
So you served with me on the refuge and hope.
So that's number 1.
That's number 1, it's gonna be evidence of need, and that,
Paragraph states.
BZA.
just don't worry about that one first, do this one.
Evidence of need.
Evidence of need is in bold,
Plain Township zoning boards.
because it's a title. Good enough. Then, now that the original language should be here, the applicant,
Hey, that's awesome.
at the time of the application shall submit. All right, how do we do this? Let me see, the applicant shall submit the following, number 1, evidence of need.
We,
You just need to start right here, it says evidence. Put a period after evidence of need.
Yeah, I used to,
We're gonna capitalize the E on evidence.
Let's see.
Right here, you're starting right here, evidence of, but put an E, capital E
It's
there.
13-year high ministry. And so we used to go down there. And then I became a board member.
Evidence of the need. Here you go. You're almost there. Evidence of the need for tower-based blah, 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 blah. And you change these to A, B, C. I'll take that out. You're down to here. All right, take all this out.
Yeah.
Take that out. Now change these are going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, and now, the next section you should have on the draft is that, no, you're missing that.
I'm missing G.
You're missing, no, EF. You're missing G and you're missing the whole new section that I moved over.
There shouldn't be a G.
No, there's no G, you're missing site plan.
ABC.
This stuff that was moved over on my draft from the
Okay, that-
previous page. This is what the
Scale site plan clearly.
the regional, that's the old number 20.
Oh.
We can I can send that to you, so you don't have to do it over again.
And that'll be number one?
That'll be number 2, and it's gonna be titled site plan, like the other one was titled evidence of need. No, yeah, but it's gonna be out here with,
Yeah.
okay, site plan.
And just so we're clear, I'm fine with the site plan, the way we presented it at the end.
Yeah, all I did was pull it out of where they said to pull it out of.
Yep. I mean, the way you drafted it is also acceptable.
Okay, thank you.
It would be,
Are we good? Do you have what you?
That's it, everything else is done.
I have one minor tweak to what is now under the evidence of need paragraph.
all right.
And on line 3, where it says the applicant has exhausted all alternatives to locate on an existing tower or structure co-location. Since we are trying to encourage location, not necessarily on something, but in a camouflage way, can we use a different terminology than on? How about to locate with an existing WCF rather than on a tower or structure?
Okay,
So as to describe it as co-location rather than just, don't plop it here, plop it there.
all right, so it's gonna read, the applicant shall, this is under evidence of need, the applicant, evidence of the need for the tower-based WCF in the proposed location.
Now, here's what I want to change, where it says, and that the applicant has exhausted all alternatives.
I know, but I'm trying reading the whole sentence, and it doesn't make sense. Evidence of the need for
Period.
tower-based WCF well, we're saying, it has to say, it starts off by saying you have to submit the following, evidence of need. Evidence of need for the tower-based WCFs in the proposed location.
And that the applicant has exhausted all
Okay.
alternatives.
And
That's
that
fine.
the applicant has exhausted
So you-
all
All
alternatives.
alternatives.
Here's the language I'm proposing.
To locate.
To locate with an existing WCF, parentheses, co-location.
Period.
That's fine.
Okay.
No, so they wouldn't be trying to build anything next door to this tower or anything, if we say with.
About within.
I'm impressed.
Within?
How about within? Within an existing WCF.
All right, how about, what if you're,
I like within better.
does it have to be inside the WCF?
Well, the WCF is the whole facility, so
All right.
it's within the facility.
Within, I can live with that.
Okay, locate within an existing WCF structure.
No,
Structure out.
WCF, parentheses, co-location, period.
Okay. And then the next 2 pages are already, they're nothing.
No.
Better than it looks.
And they're done master for you at the end.
Oh, I love it.
I wish I could read my handwriting better after 2 weeks.
Okay, are we done with abandonment and renewal?
Yeah, we already put that somewhere else.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then we're done with that.
Yep,
okay.
Can I go back to one thing?
sure.
Page 8, number 9, B9.
Page 8. B9, signs?
Yeah. The third line down, it says identifies the phone number and contact in the event of emergency.
Person? Contact person?
I would think. Do you have person in there?
No, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
that's what you want to put.
Yep.
Well, that's what we
Contact
were
person
planning
or entity.
for.
Oh, but
Should-
a
should be
contact
something.
could be an entity.
I think
We have- we just-
I think
don't we
we
define
talked about this
person?
last time.
Oh, did we really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I remember.
Did we say contact person?
Where are you guys at?
Page 9.
This is what we did, here, let me look at my old notes.
Yeah, add the word person, because I think we discussed this last time.
Yeah, I may have just missed it. B9.
We did talk about that stuff.
I don't have that note, so, well, whatever, that's fine. Contact person.
It's funny that he's saying that.
You have a maximum of one more
Pardon?
go
It's
back.
funny he had a side note to say something like that.
Fortunately, I don't have to go to federal court.
There was, early on in the discussion tonight, some reference to the fact that we had previously discussed that this was to be interpreted in light of the limitations of our authority as imposed by the
but it-
federal and the other statutes.
I've been
So-
thinking, do we need to say that? Isn't it built in, isn't it inherent?
It is inherent in
Does it strengthen our proposed resolution in any way by saying that deference will be given to those when conflicting, so that we don't risk throwing out the whole resolution for one conflict?
Well, there's two ways to do that. You can say, look, in the event this is interpreted as being in conflict with a sovereign statute or something, or we can say, whenever possible, should be interpreted to be in compliance with overriding statutes or regulations, and in the event of any particular provision is determined by a court of competent jurisdiction to be,
You want a severability provision.
yeah, we want a severability provision.
Exactly.
And that should be number
Is it
21
liable for
under
us to put
general.
that in now?
Under general,
I know right where to put that. It goes under general provision, which is 1900.3, number 21, right at the end.
He's the man.
Severability. Call it severability.
what page do you have that on?
I have it.
Page
right-
7?
Yeah, it's on page 7.
Right after controlling provision.
Right.
Number 20. We're gonna make a 21.
21,
It's
severability.
gonna say severability, SEVERABILTY :
You're moving faster than Tom is moving.
I'm sorry, a B?
Yeah, right above B.
Right above
Above
the
it.
tower-based
Sorry,
wireless.
There it is.
It should be section 21.
How about just write it out and hand it, give it to him?
Oh, you do it. My brain is.
I'm willing, I got it started.
Steve's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Let Mikey do it.
Let
Okay.
Mikey do it.
Um,
Mikey will
So
do
let's
any
get
of
some
it.
language,
Mikey
guys.
likes it.
I'll write it down, but I'm not creating it. Severability, to the extent any provision of
Any provision of this
Article 19.
Article 19 is found to be unenforceable. The remaining provisions hereof shall not be invalidated.
Perfect.
Good enough.
No,
I
that's,
like it.
no, that's,
Succinct to the point, and may actually have some benefit.
Cosmetic, if nothing else.
Uh-huh.
right.
The judge may look at it and go,
Oh, it says
it
this.
says this, I'll just throw out the part I don't like.
Okay,
Thank you, Judge.
severability, if any provision of this Article 1900 is found to be
It's Article
No,
19.
Article 19 is like
XIS.
X1X.
Oh, okay.
Just like Super Bowl XIS.
Article
I
XIS.
know, we're up to LYZ, aren't we, in the Super Bowl?
Is that
I probably want to capitalize the other
Right, we-
Yes, I just wanted to get the words.
15 is-
If any provision of this Article 19 is found to be unenforceable,
A Roman.
the remaining provisions thereof shall not be
invalid.
hereof
Yep,
shall not be invalidated.
I move to accept the motion.
It's already, you call the question.
I move to call the question. There we go.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, discussion's closed, we're now voting on the motion to approve the amendment number, sorry,
Who made the motion?
It was made past,
569-17, being a text amendment with respect to wireless communication as discussed with the edits we've made during our discussion and deliberation. That's the motion. Is that right?
That's the motion.
Was seconded? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimously carried.
6-0.
This will go to the township trustees as a recommendation or as an approved recommendation from our body for their action at the next appropriate time.
Well, we already know, we've lined up this meeting so they can get a notice out and do it the next meeting,
Well,
right?
next meeting, they will set it for the following meeting. We will put a notice out
Okay,
for that following meeting.
yeah, that's why
I would like to remind that we have commented at numerous times during these deliberations that we would like to see Eric look at this and pass on it, so that if there's anything he sees that we haven't, that the township trustees know about that.
I will hand them this document.
Okay, and I think we've done our best. Okay, is there any other business tonight? If not, I'm receptive to a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.